Welcome to Fairyverse from a magical world. If these stories touch your heart, please like and subscribe. Comment your name for a chance to be featured in a story. What happened that shattered a childhood love? Was it a misunderstanding or a conspiracy? Watch the full story to find out. Long ago, among crystal clear rivers, stood a magnificent kingdom called Moonvale. At night, thousands of sparkling lights illuminated its grand domed courtyards. Its ruler, King Ray, was known for his kindness, wisdom, and devotion to his people. By his side stood the graceful Queen Hannah, admired throughout the kingdom for her elegance, poetry, and noble personality. She loved writing her feelings in her personal diary. King Ray and Queen Hannah shared a deep love, but after 12 years of marriage, they remained childless. One evening, while reciting poetry in the royal court, Queen Hannah offered food and coins to a wandering dervish. In return, the dervish gifted her a precious locket and prayed for Allah to bless her with a child. From that day onward, the locket never left her neck. Soon, happiness arrived in Moonvale. A baby prince was born and became the joy of the kingdom. He was named Prince Ash. Being their only child, Prince Ash was dearly loved by his parents. His bond with Queen Hannah was especially strong. On his 7th birthday, she placed her precious locket around his neck. Living in the palace was Harry, a talented artisan invited from a distant land to craft beautiful pottery for King Ray. His creations amazed everyone in the kingdom. With him lived his young daughter Emma. Over time, Prince Ash and Emma became inseparable. They studied together, played together, and spent nearly every moment by each other's side. King Ray had built many institutions for his people. One of them was Moonlight College, a modern and prestigious academy managed by his trusted minister Neil, a businessman educated in the British style. However, darkness soon fell upon Moonvale. Queen Hannah passed away, leaving King Ray heartbroken and Prince Ash devastated. Despite his grief, Ash held tightly to the values his mother had taught him. Years passed. 22 years later, Prince Ash had grown into a handsome young man. He remained passionate about football and was preparing for the championship match at Monarch College. Emma had also grown into a beautiful young woman. Though simple in appearance and uninterested in fashion or jewelry, she possessed a natural beauty that made her look like an angel. She cared deeply for her father Harry and helped him with his work. King Ray adored Emma as if she were family. Her cheerful personality brought happiness back into the palace. Your tea, Agajon. Thank you, my child. Ash, do you think you'll win today's match? Of course, don't you believe in me? I always have. Emma was always there to encourage Prince Ash. Their friendship was famous throughout the college. They sat together, ate together, and treasured every moment they spent with one another. Little did they know that fate was preparing a storm that would change their lives forever. Everything depended on the final goal. The ball was at Prince Ash's feet. With a powerful kick, it flew across the field and struck the net perfectly. Monarch College had won the championship. Congratulations, Ash. Tonight, we celebrate with father. Filled with joy, King Ray took Ash and Emma on a picnic through the beautiful valleys of Moonvale. They laughed, shared stories, and cherished the moment together. Yet, only fate knew what lay ahead for the precious friendship between Ash and Emma. Even now, Prince Ash often held his mother's locket in his hands, his eyes filling with tears. It was the last memory Queen Hannah had left behind, and he treasured it more than anything else in the world. A few days later, a new student arrived at Monarch College. Her name was Zara. Beautiful, fashionable, and confident, Zara was the only daughter of Neil, the college's owner. She had recently returned from the distant kingdom of Genora to live with her father. Zara loved elegant dresses, fine makeup, and the latest accessories. Her charming personality quickly captured everyone's attention. Soon, Zara met Prince Ash and Emma. The three spent time together, talking and laughing. Before long, Ash and Zara became close friends. They often sat by the riverbank, sharing stories late into the evening. Watching them together quietly troubled Emma. One day, Zara gently asked Emma, "Are you and Ash only friends, or is there something more between you?" Emma remained silent. Without saying a word, she walked away. That night, Emma stood before her mirror. Her clothes were simple. She knew nothing about fashion or expensive jewelry. For the first time in her life, she felt inadequate. Somewhere along the years, she had fallen in love with Prince Ash, and now, seeing him grow closer to Zara, filled her heart with pain. Zara, too, had noticed the love hidden behind Emma's silence. Though she held no hatred toward Emma, her own feelings for Ash had grown stronger each day. Secretly, she prayed that Emma would drift away from him. Soon after, King Ray invited Neil and Zara to the palace for dinner. The evening was filled with laughter and conversation. While exploring the palace, Zara wandered into Prince Ash's room. Her eyes fell upon a small wooden drawer. Curious, she opened it. Inside rested Queen Hannah's precious locket. As Zara picked it up, it slipped from her hands and crashed onto the floor. The chain snapped, and its pearls scattered across the room. Fear swept across her face. Panicking, she hid the broken locket beneath a pillow in Emma's room. That same night, Emma lay awake in sadness. Unable to bear watching Ash and Zara together, she eventually cried herself to sleep. Meanwhile, Ash returned after spending the evening with Zara. "Come," he said with a smile. "I want to show you the most precious thing my mother left me." But when he opened the drawer, the locket was gone. His heart began to race. He searched every corner of the room before waking Emma. "Emma, have you seen my locket?" Emma stared at him in confusion. Zara stood silently nearby, unable to meet his eyes. Consumed by panic and grief, Ash searched the palace until he discovered the broken locket beneath Emma's pillow. For a moment, time stood still. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. "How could you do this?" he asked, his voice trembling. "You betrayed my trust." Emma burst into tears. "Ash, I swear, I didn't." But Ash was too blinded by pain to listen. The locket was more precious to him than his own life. In a moment of anger, he led Emma to the palace gates and shut the doors behind her. Emma continued to cry outside, begging him to believe her. But Prince Ash could hear nothing except the sound of his own heartbreak. Standing nearby, Zara watched in silence, fear written across her face. She had gotten what she wanted, yet she could not bring herself to reveal the truth. She had no idea that this single lie would change all of their lives forever. As if fate had not been cruel enough, another tragedy soon followed. Harry, Emma's beloved father, fell gravely ill. Within days, he passed away, leaving Emma completely alone in the world. With nowhere left to go and no one left to call family, Emma stepped into the darkness of an uncertain future, while Prince Ash remained unaware of the truth that would one day shatter his heart. Clutching Prince Ash's coat tightly in her hands, Emma wept beneath the pouring rain. She had nowhere left to go. She could no longer return to the palace, nor could she remain alone in the empty house that once echoed with her father's laughter. With a heavy heart, she made a decision. She would leave Moonvale forever. Meanwhile, Prince Ash sat alone in his chamber, holding his mother's broken locket. For the first time, he admitted the truth to himself. "Emma, I loved you." His words struck Zara like lightning. Until that moment, she had believed Ash and Emma shared nothing more than friendship. She had never imagined their bond ran so deep. "Bring Emma back," Ash whispered, tears filling his eyes. Without wasting another moment, Zara rushed to Emma's old home. But when she arrived, a large lock hung from the door. Confused, she asked a passerby what had happened. "Didn't you hear? Harry passed away a few days ago. His daughter left the kingdom this morning." Zara's face turned pale. Tears streamed down her cheeks as the weight of her actions finally crushed her heart. At that very moment, Emma sat alone on a bench at the railway station with a small bag beside her. Only one thought echoed in her mind. What if Ash had given me one chance to explain? She gently placed her pink scarf beside her, picked up her belongings, and boarded the departing train. By the time Zara reached the station, it was too late. The train had already disappeared into the distance. Exhausted, she sat on the same bench and noticed a folded letter beneath the pink scarf. With trembling hands, she opened it. Every word Emma had written deepened the fire of regret in Zara's heart. How long would this misunderstanding continue? Only time knew the answer. Months passed. With great celebration, Prince Ash and Zara were married. Soon after, King Ray passed away, leaving the entire kingdom in Prince Ash's hands. Ash buried himself in royal duties, while Zara found herself trapped in endless guilt. The only person who understood her pain was Salma, an elderly servant who had cared for her since childhood. One evening, Zara finally spoke. "Should I tell Ash the truth?" Salma gently nodded. "The truth may hurt, my child, but it is still a blessing." Ash had always treated Zara with kindness and respect. He had never allowed her to feel unloved. That night, unable to bear her guilt any longer, Zara confessed everything. "It wasn't Emma who broke the locket," she cried. "It was me." The room fell silent. Ash felt the ground disappear beneath his feet. All these years, Emma had been innocent. "What have I done?" he whispered. Tears rolled down Zara's face. "Forgive me, Ash. Please find Emma. Tell her I'm sorry." Ash looked down at the broken locket in his hands. For years, he had blamed the person he loved most. Now, all that remained were memories and regret. Shortly afterward, Zara fell seriously ill. Before her final breath, she held Ash's hand. "Promise me," she whispered, "you'll find Emma." Ash nodded silently. "I promise." After Zara's passing, a shadow of sorrow settled over Moonvale. During the day, Ash fulfilled his duties as king. At night, he sat alone, staring at the broken locket and wondering where Emma might be. Years passed. Far away in the kingdom of Genora, Emma had built a quiet life for herself in a small apartment. Though time had moved on, the darkness of the night still frightened her. Somewhere deep inside, love and pain continued to coexist. Emma worked at Galaxy Crown, one of Genora's most prestigious companies. Its CEO, Ethan, admired her intelligence, patience, and determination. "You've become indispensable to this company," Ethan often told her, "and to me." Over the years, Ethan had confessed his feelings many times. "Emma," he said one evening, "will you marry me?" Emma lowered her eyes. "Thank you, Ethan, but my heart isn't ready for another beginning." For despite everything that had happened, a part of her heart still belonged to Prince Ash. And somewhere far away, under the same moonlit sky, Prince Ash continued searching for the girl he had lost. Perhaps fate was preparing to bring them together once again. The girl who once knew nothing about fashion had become the most talented designer at Galaxy Crown. Today, Emma's beautiful creations were admired throughout Genora. CEO Ethan entrusted her with an important project. "A renowned businessman from Moonvale is visiting tomorrow," he said. "I want you to present our finest designs." Emma nodded. The next morning, dressed in a simple yet elegant sari, she carried her portfolio through the company corridors. But the moment she entered the conference room, the files slipped from her hands. Standing before her was Prince Ash. For a few seconds, neither of them could speak. Without a word, Emma turned and hurried out of the room. Prince Ash stood frozen. After all these years, he had finally found her. Meanwhile, Ethan and Ash spent hours discussing business. During their conversation, Ash quietly learned about Emma's life, her work, her struggles, and the strength with which she had rebuilt herself. That night, standing beside the window of his hotel room with a cup of coffee in his hand, Ash couldn't stop thinking about her. Is she really here, or is this just another dream? The next day, he approached her. "You left suddenly yesterday," he said softly. "Are you all right?" "I was just surprised," Emma replied, avoiding his eyes. But inside, old wounds had begun to reopen. She remembered the broken locket. She remembered the rain. She remembered the day he closed the palace doors on her forever. That evening, Emma made a decision. The following morning, she walked into Ethan's office. "If your proposal still stands," she said quietly, "I accept." Ethan looked at her in surprise. At that exact moment, Prince Ash, who had arrived to meet Ethan, heard every word. It felt as though lightning had struck his heart. Unable to control his emotions, he stopped Emma outside the office. "You can't do this," he said, holding back tears. "What about us?" Emma looked directly into his eyes. "What us, Ash?" "After everything that happened, Do you think forgiveness comes so easily? Ash stood speechless. For the second time in his life, he felt he had lost her forever. Accepting her decision, he congratulated Emma and Ethan. I wish both of you a lifetime of happiness, he said quietly. Then, with a heavy heart, he decided to return to Moonvale. Days later, Emma stood dressed as a bride, yet, even in her bridal attire, one question haunted her. Was Ash truly guilty, or had he suffered just as much as I had? Meanwhile, Prince Ash sat alone at the railway station with his luggage beside him, just as Emma once had years ago. He had come to say goodbye to the city that had briefly returned his lost love to him. Suddenly, he looked up. Standing before him was Emma. But before the story continues, there is something you should know. On the day Emma accepted Ethan's proposal, Ethan had overheard the entire conversation between them. His doubts from the first day had finally become certainty. You both hid such a great truth from me, Ethan said with a smile. He turned toward Emma. Love should never become a sacrifice. Then he looked at Ash. You have spent years punishing yourselves for a mistake that belonged to fate. As a true friend, Ethan chose happiness over his own desires. Forgive each other, he said softly. Some stories are simply meant to be completed. And so, after years of separation, two incomplete hearts finally found their way back to one another. Prince Ash and Emma returned to Moonvale together. Years later, they were blessed with a beautiful daughter. They named her Princess Mia, a name once cherished by Zara herself. Their story became a reminder throughout the kingdom. True love survives time, and the greatest peace in life comes not from being right, but from learning to forgive. Thank you for listening to Fairyverse. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, subscribe and share. And remember, every misunderstanding has an end, but true love writes its own destiny.